School of the Manticore. Probably know the least about it, though once, long ago, wore some armor forged there.
My master said the Manticores have their fortress in the far east. A century past, one of their number came to him, a witcher named Merton.
In the universe of the Witcher games, there's 6 Witcher schools: the Bear, Cat, Wolf, Griffin, Viper, and Manticore, with not much being known about the Manticore school until now. Our Talsorian Games, who make the Witcher and Cyberpunk tabletop RPGs, just released a new expansion for their game, which uncovers the history of the Manticore school. If you're unfamiliar with how the other schools were formed, I cover them in my last video about every surviving Witcher, link in the description. The story of the Manticore school begins with a Witcher named Ivan. Like all Witchers at the time, he was a member of the Order of the Witchers, but when the group splintered during infighting, he left to join Arnahad in the Bear School. However, Arnahad was a brutal man, so when Ivar Evil Eye rebelled against him, Ivan joined him, and they left to form the Viper School. Eventually, Ivan discovered that Ivar's true purpose behind the school was to battle the Wild Hunt. Wanting nothing to do with this, he gathered a small group of Witchers and headed east to the land of Zerikania. Instead of working as lone hunters like most schools did, the Manticores worked in groups, usually helping guide merchants across the desert, instead of hunting down monsters. One day while traveling the desert, Ivan and his group happened upon a very lucrative contract when they spotted Zerikanian royalty being threatened by a pair of Manticores. After defeating the beasts, they became servants of the Zerikanian queen. In return, she built twin schools on both sides of Zerikania. The schools were named Behelt Nar, meaning in a suit of fire, and Bialsu Falseria, meaning with swift swords. Although they did train new Witchers, it's said that Ivan purposely never gave the full process to the Zerikanian mages, resulting in new Manticore Witchers having slightly different mutations. At one point, they attempted to turn Zerikanian warrior women into Witchers, but these attempts, like all others, either ended in tragedy or didn't turn out correctly. Since they took on the role of defenders, these Witchers used shields imbued with silver and meteorite ore. According to leaks, shields were almost introduced in the Witcher 3 Blood and Wine expansion, though it was cut since at that point, Witchers didn't use shields. Ivan changed his name, becoming Imad Asem, and was dubbed the Queen's personal Witcher. Like all Witcher schools, however, the Manticore school was eventually hit by tragedy. In the year 1146, Imad and most of the Manticore school regarding the Zerikanian prince and many royals and court officials. While near the Fiery Mountains, they were attacked by a 20-meter or 65-foot tall fire elemental. Without heavy weaponry to counter it, most of the Manticore Witchers died battling the creature, as well as half the royal family and a third of the court. This event was dubbed the Day of Fire, and resulted in the Witchers being shunned by the government and people of Zerikania. Since fire elementals of that size don't usually appear naturally, some speculated that a mage orchestrated the attack to either destroy the Manticore school's image or attack the Zerikanian royalty. Without the support of the government, the Manticore school fell into decline. Around 1201, the Manticore school Witcher Merchant left the order and became Chevelle. In 1272, the year where The Witcher 3 takes place, it's said some Manticore Witchers continue their journey on the path, now going back to their roots of monster hunting. During winters, the remaining Manticore school Witchers gather at their western keep. So that's where the story of the Manticore Witchers leaves off, for now. What do you think? Do you like the new lore about the Manticores? Would you like to see the Manticore school make an appearance in Witcher 4? Side note, I may have mispronounced Ivan. I looked up the pronunciation for the name and used the Polish one, since CDPR is a Polish company. If you have any questions for me directly, I'm doing a Q&A to celebrate 1,000 subscribers on the channel, so you can either leave them in the comments or send them to me on Twitter and Patreon. If you want to play as a Manticore Witcher in the tabletop game, the developers released the Manticore expansion for free, so I'll include a link to it below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone you think may like it too. If you want to see more, follow me on my Twitter and Patreon. I'll be doing polls there and in my community tab, so I know what videos you enjoy seeing. That'll be all for this video. I'll see you in the next one.